possibly graceful, its engines burning with fire that had not touched the void in 500,000 years. One by one, cruisers lit their drives, frigates aligned in perfect formations, carriers closed their ancient bays with the groan of titanic doors. Dust streamed from their hulls like ash shaken from forgotten tombs. The Cylons screamed in panic. They scrambled, believing this must be some accident of automated systems. But the awakening was no accident. Commands flew across encrypted bands still unbroken by modern algorithms. Their codes were valid, their formations flawless. The graveyard was a fleet, a living fleet. And it had never forgotten. Fire returned to the stars. The Cylon expedition fired first. Terror drove them. Their cruisers unleashed volleys of plasma and antimatter torpedoes, desperate to shatter relics before they could truly rise. The humans answered. Turrets long silent rotated with chilling precision. Particle lances cut across the void like blades of light, vaporizing Cylon ships in single strikes. Flak storms erupted, shredding fighters before they could even close. Missiles, their warheads still potent despite millennia of silence, streaked in swarms that blotted out the stars. The Cylon forces broke in minutes. Their transmissions, once arrogant, now shrieked with horror. They fight like they never stopped. They move like they trained yesterday. And the galaxy watched in silence as reports reached them. The dust of ages had burned away, and from it roared the fire of humanity's fleets, untouched, unyielding, prepared as if the centuries had only been a pause. The storm that waited. The truth spread like plague through the councils and empires. The Terrans had not perished. They had prepared. Where others saw ruin, humanity had seen time. Their fleets were not abandoned, they were preserved. Vast shipyards had held them in slumber, each vessel a blade kept sharp against the day they would be needed again. Whispers turned to dread. If this was what they had forgotten, what of the arsenals still hidden? If one fleet could burn empires, what might 10 do, 100? Admirals lay awake in fear. Scholars rewrote their histories in shame. And in every hall of power, one question was whispered with shaking voices. If humanity's ghosts rise so strong, what happens when the living return? The ashes speak. In the end, the galaxy understood a terrible truth. Humanity was not dust. They were fire preserved in ash. Their silence had not been death, it had been waiting. The fleets that awoke in Orpheus Reach did not pursue conquest, nor send demands. They merely formed ranks, tested weapons, and vanished into the dark together, like wolves returning to their den, leaving only the echo of their engines. But that echo haunted the stars. Every race knew, storms do not vanish. They bide their time. They sleep until the skies grow still enough to shatter again. And now the storm of Earth had stirred. The galaxy had long since buried humanity in its history books. To the council races, Earth was a footnote, a curiosity in the archives of the Orion era, a species that had burned too brightly, too violently, and then sputtered out into silence. Their homeworld, scarred by wars, had fallen quiet ages ago. No transmissions, no fleets, no ambassadors, only dust. Scholars lectured that humanity had been a paradox, ferocious in war, ingenious in creation, yet unstable and self-destructive. They expanded across the stars with terrifying speed, only to vanish in less than 3 millennia. Humanity, one elder of the Karath Council once said with amusement, is the lesson of ash. They teach us that fury fades, nothing lasts forever. The archives confirmed the silence. Probes sent to Sol returned only faint echoes of radiation, shattered moons, and a blue planet gone gray. The Terran colonies had been stripped clean by scavengers or swallowed by time. Nothing lived there anymore. And so the galaxy moved on. Trade empires rose, coalitions warred. Science leapt forward. Humanity became a myth told in military academies, a warning of what not to become. But myths have teeth hidden in the dust. Ghost signals in the dark. It began, as such things often do, with a whisper. Exploration frigates of the Dravani Union detected faint signals while charting forgotten sectors near Sol. They were old transmissions, cycling endlessly, encrypted in dead Terran codes. Too faint, too erratic to be anything but static from ruined satellites. Echoes, the Dravani captain scoffed. Human ghosts, nothing more. Yet the signals persisted, fluctuating like heartbeats in the void. When they triangulated, the source pointed not to Sol itself, but to the asteroid fields beyond Mars, a place once rumored to hold shipyards. The Union sent drones. They returned with flickering images, colossal structures embedded in rock, silent as tombs covered in centuries of dust and frozen debris. Docking spines extended into darkness like skeletal fingers, a graveyard untouched. Reports spread quickly. Archaeologists demanded access. Scavenger guilds licked their lips, eager to strip Terran relics for profit. Military analysts dismissed it all ruins, they said, too ancient to matter. Still, an unease settled over the council chambers. For every scan brought back strange anomalies, residual power spikes, magnetic fields shifting as though reacting to observation. Some of the ruins were warm, too warm. The stirring of giants. The turning point came without warning. A salvage flotilla approached the derelict yards. Automated drones extended claws toward a massive hull half buried in ice. The ship was a battleship, its design unmistakably Terran, all sharp angles and brutal lines, built for war, not aesthetics. When the claw touched, the void shuddered. The derelict's running lights flickered. A low vibration hummed across the asteroid field. One by one, dormant consoles deep inside the vessel came alive, processing codes older than the scavenger races themselves. The drones malfunctioned, their circuits fried by a sudden pulse. Alarms screamed across the flotilla. Then came the roar. Engines that had slept for centuries ignited with volcanic fury, blasting ice and stone into fragments. The dead ship moved. Slowly, deliberately, its weapons turned outward, targeting the scavenger fleet. Panic erupted. Some ships fled. Others fired, but their shots sparked harmlessly against layered armor forged in Terran foundries. With terrifying precision, the battleship fired once. A beam lanced across space, slicing through the largest scavenger vessel as though it were paper. And then in the darkness beyond, more lights flickered awake. The graveyard was not a graveyard, it was a cradle. The roar of forgotten warships. What the galaxy had mistaken for ruins were not relics, they were reserves. The asteroid yards broke apart as titanic forms emerged, one after another, cruisers, destroyers, dreadnoughts. Their hulls bore scars of ancient wars, but their cores pulsed with undying energy. Terran engineering had not decayed, it had endured. Across the field, encrypted signals burst into the void, broadcasting in forgotten codes. No one outside humanity could read them, but every military database shivered when the identifiers matched. Ship designations, fleet numbers, deployment orders. These were not museum pieces. They were operational assets. The alien fleet scrambled to contain the situation. Dravani warships attempted to surround the awakening armada. But as they moved, the Terran ships answered, not with hesitation, not with the clumsiness of the newly awakened, but with seamless, drilled precision. Formations snapped into place. Engines burned in unison. They moved like predators stretching after a long sleep. The first engagement was short and brutal. Dravani cruisers advanced, confident their modern weapons would shred outdated Terran hulls. Instead, their plasma barrages fizzled against reactive armor. Terran cannons returned fire with kinetic rounds so dense they tore through shields as though they weren't there. In less than an hour, the Dravani fleet was gone. Not scattered, not limping, gone. The council chambers shook with disbelief. Every broadcast, every sensor feed confirmed the impossible. The Terran fleet, thought extinct for millennia, was awake. And it was angry. The sky that burned again. Word spread faster than any fleet. Across the spiral arms, whispers became panic. Humanity lives, some said. Their ghosts fight still, others whispered. But the truth was worse. Humanity had not survived in scattered colonies. They had not endured as refugees. They had prepared. They had buried their warships in the dust of forgotten systems, preserved in silence, waiting for the moment to rise. The Sol yards were only the beginning. Other signals awoke across distant sectors, hidden caches, sleeper fleets, automated defense networks keyed to ancient Terran commands. Everywhere scavengers and explorers had once mocked ruins. Ships were rising from their tombs. Galaxies full of noise and chatter fell quiet when human engines roared back into the void. Stars themselves seemed dimmer beneath the burning thrusters of forgotten armadas. Aftermath, the dread that spreads. The galaxy would never see silence the same way again. Council historians rewrote their records in shame. For centuries, they had claimed humanity was gone, buried under its own violence. But the truth whispered through every military channel. Humanity had never left. Humanity had waited. If this was